Okay, hello everyone and welcome to some Trackmania 2 Stadium, and we will have the Step 1 of Trackmania Grand League, which will be going live relatively shortly here. But I have my partner in crime here, my dynamic duo partner of Eirik Holdal, joining us here for the cast. My name is Scottie. It will be a pleasure to bring you Step 1 for Big, of course being represented on field by Massa, of which we can see on the screen here going through the first map, which will be Bolide Snake as we have. But thank you for joining me today, NMD. Lovely to have you. How are you feeling for Step 1?
Well, it's exciting to do my first ever Trackmania cast. Somewhat nervous, but really not nervous because I know I'm in safe hands here with you. You're experienced at this. You're one of the best to ever do this, so I'm ready. I'm gonna enjoy this. And to be honest, I'm pretty hyped because this field of players we have here, it might arguably be the strongest field we have ever seen in the Trackmania competitions. I mean, can you name anybody who doesn't deserve to be here? Can you just name? You can probably name someone who you're missing, but just looking at the 16 names, looking at the 16 champions, I mean, man, oh man, this is gonna be a great step.
Oh, for sure. I can't wait. Of course, we have nearly every great player of which has been storying Trackmania for the past few years, pretty much, right here and in the flesh, with, of course, all of our lovely champions here being hand-picked and hand-selected by the NADEO representatives here. But, of course, we have our man of which we will be looking to bring home the gold for Berlin International Gaming, of which we are streaming with today, of course. But and that man is Massa. So how are we looking at Massa's chances so far today?
Well, if I'm gonna be honest, we have talked a little bit with Massa before, obviously, and he has been trained, he has been really motivated, but looking at the map order, which is set in stones before we go into the match, it's not gonna be random like you have seen at other events previously in the past. The map order for Massa is not maybe his favorite. His best maps are map 1 and map 3. And then when you come to map 4, 5, and 6, then you will have the chance at losing points. So of course, I believe in Massa. I might be one of the community members who believe the most in Massa. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't think the map order itself is gonna be too much in favor for Massa here. What are your chances about the German beast?
Well, to be honest, my chances when we're looking at Massa himself, I mean, he is one of the best players and certainly one of the fastest players we've ever kind of dealt with in Trackmania. And really, he can turn any map up on its head. He has told us there is some maps of which he favours more than others. But again, I mean, this is the first competition we've seen in quite a while where, you know, the level of the competition really is pretty much unparalleled. And I'm really looking forward to see what he can do and what he can show us on track. But do we have a time for a little interview with him, or shall we
just jump into it? Maybe some quick questions to him, see how it feels.
Yeah, we'll jump in just a second. Hello, Massa.
Hello.
Hello, we are on stream. We are here with Mr. Holdal himself, and give us a quick overview of how you're feeling for Step 1.
First of all, hey. Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling quite good, I would say. Well prepared, and yeah, I don't know. I'm ready to play.
Yeah, good man, good man. That's what we're looking to hear. But first kind of thing from me, is there any specific player you're looking at as a kind of main threat to you today?
To be fair, like, I'm just gonna play my own game. I have my favorite maps, my non-favorite maps, and yeah, like, my goal is to basically get maybe a map win or like get high positions in the first 3 maps. Basically risk it a bit and save it on the last 3 maps. Probably same strat for everyone, but I don't think I have like a, you know, specific guy like I have to beat or I want to beat or who's gonna be on the same pace as me, you know. Like, one single mistake and you're like gone. So yeah.
But do you think that that maybe be a benefit for you? We talked a little bit before we joined you here that maybe map 1 is your favorite and then map 3 is also one of your favorite maps. That you can somewhat risk on those maps without being afraid to lose points. That might be an advantage for you.
Yeah, I guess it can be an advantage and disadvantage. It depends. Like, if I risk too much, you know, like, I'm gonna end up last probably. And yeah, if I don't risk at all, I'm just gonna end up like, you know, in the midfield. So I think it's just all gonna be about like, you know, the momentum and stuff like this. I think that's about it.
We obviously saw you joining after Step 5 in the beta season. You did somewhat well there, but how well do you think you can do now that you are in this from the start in this Grand League season. Do you think that playoff is within reach?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the main goal of everyone is playoffs, obviously, but I feel like I'm super confident reaching the playoffs. Even if I have like a bad step or like right now a bad step, like I'm super confident. I'm like, I have enough time and I have enough experience and enough skill to not easily make top 8, but to make top 8 like quite comfortable.
So, Scottie, any words before we let the Massa warm up and get ready for the first step of the Winter 2020 edition?
All I have left to say is best of luck to you, man. I'm sure you'll light it up this step, and we'll be looking forward to see how you do.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Massa.
No problem. See ya.
Thank you very much.
And that was our player, of course, Berlin International Gaming, being represented in, let's say, well, we're saying flying colours by Massa all throughout his tenure. Of course, he is one of the most storied Trackmania players, of which we do have. Of course, he's been around the scene for a great number of years, represented some of the biggest lineups we've seen in this game. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what he can do. But of course, we have a lot of players on offer for us who will be, lighting up the stage and going for those kind of top points along with Massa here. But just got the info, of course, that map number 1 will be touchdown. So yeah, I mean, how much do you think the map order is going to actually play a factor in the in step 1 at least?
Well, I think the map order on maps like this, where it is the identity that is going to be sticking out instead of tech maps, where it's, let's be honest, more or less the same maps, then maybe that identity will have a big impact, because some identities you obviously going to like more than others. And when you know that the map order is already set in stone, then like Massa in this case, he might already know that this is not going to be his favorite map order, and therefore the map pack itself might play a big impact. And that is also why Softy has said that he wants to have the map pack order known, so it's not going to be a random factor of the map pack order that is going to be decisive. Because I think, like I said, this map pack in a map style like this is going to have a bigger impact than a map order in a tech event, where the maps are more or less the same. It's more just what kind of turns you have there. And do you think the best player will win anyways? Is it going to be CarlJr dominating like he did in the beta season? Or do you think that now that you have 16 players, that maybe now it's going to be more than just a CarlJr and pack show in the group stage?
Well, I think for sure it's going to be more of a show between a lot more players and a lot more unfamiliar faces for those who haven't been kind of watching as much of the Trackmania Esport. Of course, we've got many players who are capable of even upsetting the fight for the win overall. Of course, we've got players like Revolution, we've got Tween, Cocow now getting involved, Aurel, of course, a very well-known all-round player. But as well, I mean, you have players which have the kind of the skill level of which they can turn a map upside down and just steal the €100 straight away. I mean, players like Matt, who's been known to have, amazing technique for pulling off some unbelievable stunts in some of the maps of which he's played in tournaments gone by. So, I mean, we've got a very wide group of players of which can contribute to an amazing season, and I can't wait for it to get started. But what do you think about some of the newer faces of which we're seeing on track, such as a few that are pointed out?
Well, obviously, like we talked about, the biggest names in the scene is here. We spoke a little bit before it, like every major winner of a Trackmania tournament since 2011 is here, besides Javi Flyer, who won the Serati Cup 2016. And if I'm honest, I think those names will be the ones that is still gonna be the most impactful ones, like your CarlJr, your Pack, your Kappa, your Tween. I think those names will be the ones that is also gonna be the story of this one. But I think a name that did really well in the beta season, at least the start of the beta season, he won the 3rd most amount of maps. It's Scrapie. I think maybe 2020 is going to be his year. Maybe this is going to be the year where he gets the big accomplishment, the big achievement that maybe is missing from his Trackmania career. And obviously, we have a young player like MarciN, the youngest player, 17 years old. He was, to be honest, I knew more or less what kind of players we had to expect in this season. But MarciN was the biggest surprise for me. I had no idea about who he really was. But he won the Polish qualifier. So let's see. But I think he has the least amount of pressure here. I don't think people in the community expect him to do too well. I don't think other players view him as a favorite. So it can only be a positive for MarciN here, while the others, like we had said, are accomplished names that people expect to win, and nothing but a win would be like a letdown.
For sure. I mean, the weight of expectation can carry some people down, but I mean, we need to consider as well, with the kind of players of which we have, these are all very experienced competitive players, so it'll be very interesting to see how they cope. And what really, before the beta season, was an untried and untested tournament format. It was a new map style. There's a lot of new factors going into that some of these players might not have been used to trying, so I'll be very well interested to see how the players stack up against each other. I mean, it's been a long time since we've been seeing some players which are in these lineups playing actively in any sort of competitions. The likes of CarlJr normally is not as playing as many tournaments throughout the year. Of course, we've got the likes of Tween and Kappa, who are typically more offline players, are playing your big events. So, I mean, this is step number one. This is when the chips go down and the cards are put out on the table. So, yeah, I mean, all of this kind of time they've spent practicing is now time to put up or shut up, as they say. But just something to mention while we are getting rolling, as we actually happen to spectate over him, is there will be a giveaway, of course, in place here on in the chat. As you can see, up in the top right hand side of your screen will be ! giveaway, so you can enter the giveaway for a Trackmania key. There will be one per step. Of course, this will be step 1 we'll be doing tonight. Of course, next weekend will be step 2. Same time, same place, same players and same casters you will have with you there. But we have not long to get left. We've only got 10 or 13 minutes exactly, actually, as I look at it, to go live. We'll be starting at 8 AM on the dot, of course, and we will be taking a look at who will take map number 1. But I guess now is the best point to let people know how this works, I guess.
Maybe get into that, yeah. Maybe some new fans of Trackmania here on the big channel. Maybe some fans of CSGO or other games that Big is good at. How would you explain Trackmania, first of all, to the new fans?
First of all, I mean, whenever I try and explain Trackmania to a new person, the first thing I liken it to is Hot Wheels. It's a bit of a kind of crazy racing game, as you can see here. There's a lot of obstacles, a lot of stunts, you know, jumps, things like that. But of course, in this specific case, we have players doing a lap format. So relatively nice and simple. There'll be 6 laps along this rather difficult track. There'll be a lot of obstacles in the way, of course, as you can see here, as we're watching CarlJr going through one of the loops. And there will be 6 laps to contest for a total number of 20 points, which will be available. Of course, your points will decrease the further down the table that you are. And with this as well, the first 3 maps, as there'll be 6 maps in total, first 3 maps, you will then get, your points will be completely safe. They will go towards your total. However, from map 4 going onwards, if you place in the bottom half of the race or the lobby, so on, so that's positions 9 down to 16, then you lose all of the points you have accumulated so far. So a big risk factor there, and really all of these sort of players, being as good as they are ready and willing to trip up some of the best players at any moment, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, talking about the players and what kind of... The biggest feedback from the beta season was that maybe it's too punishing to have this losing all the points that many disagree with. I have to be honest, I disagree with it. But during the beta season, it wasn't really too big of a factor. If we are honest, from the start it was basically 9 players who could compete, and then Massa joined the step 6. So we had 10 players basically competing instead of 16, which we will see now. So this is, in my opinion, gonna be the first true test of the Champions mode. Is Softies B and Hillis' IDs good, or will they actually break under this when we end up with maybe just 1 or 2 players not losing points? In the beta season, we only had 1 player who went through the 50 maps without losing a single point, and that, of course, is the greatest Trackmania player of all time. It's CarlJr. But I will be surprised, to be honest, if he survives all the 6 steps now without losing a point, because just because the names are bigger, the skill level should be higher. Let's see. CarlJr has surprised me before, and I wouldn't be surprised if he surprises me again.
Yeah, that's a lot of surprises right there. But I mean, with CarlJr, of course, in the season before, as exactly you were saying, he was catching people out with, of course, such a strong raw pace that he has. But as well, he is the ultimate cool head under pressure, as I suppose is the best way to say it. Of course, been a triple world champion, many times a winner of many prestigious events in Trackmania, and relatively unchallenged throughout the beta season. Of course, however. Due to the qualifier format, we could say that the level of competition wasn't as great as which we have here at the moment, which I believe is why they decided to go with the strategy to at least invite people directly. And I would say it's led to a much higher level of competition than we would have had otherwise. So of course I'm not going to complain here, as I'm going to be looking to see. Because to be honest, when I look at it, I can't really decide who would for sure be in a top 8. So everyone's in danger really, whereas before you were kind of, or say Pac is almost definitely going to get, top 8, so he's going to be safe. There's not as much drama as in beta season. However, I mean, anything can happen, and as you were talking about surprises there, I won't be surprised to see if a lot of big names start losing points when we don't expect it. But
Yeah.
to talk through the map order for those who are not familiar with it, as you can see on the screen, Touchdown will be your first map, of which we will be having in store for us, and then it will go on to U-Turn. Third will be Piece of Cup, so those will be your 3 safe maps. So this one, we're on Bright Side here at the moment, that you can see on the screen, is the final map. So of course players will be wanting to be very well versed on this map, of course, to avoid any points losses, but 8 of them are going to have to deal with it anyway. Bolide Snake will be your 4th map, Rock or Roll will be your 5th map, and Bright Side will be your 6th map. But one of the most notable things about these maps, I believe would be best to say, is there's been a bit of controversy about it, quite a bit of discussion. We've certainly had quite a bit of discussion about the idea of the identities which we're seeing in these maps. So for those who are not aware, would you care to run them through exactly what we mean by an identity?
Well, I think the foundation of the implement, like why they even try to have an identity, is so people can actually remember, can actually, that was that map, instead of having the tech maps where it basically is just slide after slide after slide. So it's gonna be one part of the track that is gonna be sticking out. It's gonna be sometimes where the players makes mistake. It's sometimes gonna be where people may be catching up, but it's gonna be in like where players basically where the maps itself sticks out. This time we had the NADEO labs building the maps, that is Hillis, SoftDB, and other NADEO members, and not gotten the information about who built what identity. But this time the NADEO labs built the identities and then sent it out to mappers that then had to build it around the map. So all other parts than the identity is built by the mappers, or yeah, like I guess you understood that. But I think that I don't agree with the identity being there, but it's something that test out. It's something that some viewers have said they liked. It's some things that some players have said they dislike, but we cannot change it now. We cannot change it when it's 5 minutes left until the season 1 starts. So I guess we just have to live with it. But for players, this is where you should look after if your player is going to make it, or if he's going to fall down the list on the left here where you see the 16 players. Because I think the beta season, when it's 6 laps, it's more about who does mistakes than who drives the fastest. That was also what CarlJr told me. He was like, I didn't drive fast, I just drove safe, so I didn't do mistakes. And then eventually I won the beta season group stage without any problems at all.
Yeah, and I mean that's quite a statement to say when some of the best players in the world were part of the beta stage. But again, as we were saying before the beta season, it's a relatively untried and relatively untested tournament format and tournament setup. So CarlJr with the champion's mindset, I mean, showing us why he's been one of the most formidable forces on Trackmania for so long and so many years, of course. But I mean, we actually will be getting up live underway in roughly just under 5 minutes here, so the map should be switching up relatively soon. Again, just as a reminder, of course the first map will be Touch and Down. So again, these maps will contain a specific identity, but not to worry, we have some lovely pre-prepared videos of which will give you a quick display of the map so that you can get an idea of how they look and what you can expect. But just to give you a quick run through the players, we will have some lovely slides prepared for you to show you who you will have to look to in these different lovely skins we're actually seeing, of course, fresh design for this. So let's have a look. First of all, we've got Tween, of course, representing Pittsburgh Knights from Slovakia, former Gamers Assembly champion and the Nest, multiple time runner-up to ESWC World Championship, of course. Then you have Spam from Team DefuseKids and the Netherlands. Again, 2012 World Championship winner was our man Spam. Moving on to Scrapie, of course, representing Existence from Belgium. Played in the beta season and placed very well. A favourite for many people in at least the Trackmania betting league. Then we move on to Rollin, one of the few Orglist players, of course, from Austria. Bit of a surprise participant in the beta season, however, performed very well, got 6th place and a semi-final at ZRT along with Spam. And fresh into Trackmania Grand League, we do have Riolu, one of course, the most popular streamers in Trackmania and a multi-environment specialist, of course, taking home championships in Canyon and Valley. Of course, very well versed in Stadium as well. We do have Revolution also. Look at that lovely waving smile there, that's beautiful. Of course, recent winner of the Eternal Cup. Currently Orgless, of course, from Germany as well, will be representing at the very least an org as soon as one manages to come up for him. And then next we go on to Papou, our runner-up to the beta season, of course, from GamersOrigin and from France. Of course, one of the strongest dirt players that has graced the game for its long existence. And then for Team Molotovs and Marshmallows or MnM Gaming, we have Pack. Of course, also a very deep run into the playoffs for the beta season. Managed to get 3rd place and as the 2016 World Champion from the United Kingdom. And then we move on to Matt here. Again, a new participant to this season from Brazil. One of their only representatives, along with CarlJr, from, I suppose, the left-hand side of the world, if you put it that way. ZRT Cup Grand Finalist, of course. From Brazil, representing Spacestation Gaming. Get Pack out of the way. And of course, we have MarciN, youngest player of the group actually, from Devils 1 in Poland, the winner of the Polish qualifier. Fought off some really strong opposition there. Got 2nd in the Weeb Cup Christmas, which was actually organised by another one of your players here in Spam. And then we have Kappa, representing Veloce, of course, a very well storied organisation in the sim and racing genre. So the most recent winner of the last 2 World Championships, if you put it that way. Of course, the beta season and EMWC 2018. We're nearly there. Of course, we've got Cocow, representing Oserv, most recent winner of the Air France Cup from Oserv and France. CarlJr, 3 times and 3 times World Champion and many, I think 5 times actually, ZRT Cup winner.
Yeah,
Pardon me.
times, yeah.
Yep, so from Solary and Canada. One of our few Cam 3 players, of course. We'll show you what that means in just a second. Pardon me. We have Bren, of course, from the sister org of Solary and participating all the way from Australia, actually, I believe. Despite saying he's from France here, of course, managed to get to the final of the TMGL beta season as well. Also have Aurel from GamingPrivé.com from France. Very well versed all-round player. And finally, last but certainly not least, we have the fan favourite. We have Massa, representing Berlin International Gaming, the home favourite, the crowd favourite. Of course, winner of Gamers Assembly 2016, Gaming Winterfest 2018. Many runner-ups and many online team victories as well. But of course, he has a very, very different challenge ahead of him here, as we see him on track, of course. And looking to pick up some strong points in step number 1. Of course, it's not a one-day tournament. We will have 6 steps in total. 6 maps in total as well, which will lead us up to the grand final, which will be played at Lyon. Do you happen to have more information by any chance about what's going down at Lyon in February?
Well, the main thing is that there's going to be 8 players qualifying to that. And unlike the playoffs now, that those 8 players who actually qualified to the playoff will travel to France, travel to Lyon, and play out the whole playoffs there. Not like this time when it was, or in beta season, when it's basically just the grand final played out in Paris. So if you're a fan of Trackmania, if you like to watch live matches of Trackmania, at least now you will see 3 matches played live on the stage, and then the 3 other matches will be played in a disclosed area, where hopefully at least I will be accessed. But the winner will get 4,000 euros, second place will get 2,000 euros, and the third place will get 1,500 euros, and then the 4 to 8 will also get a couple of money. I don't know if that's 100% settled yet. I just saw it in the rule book, but I also think that they have changed how much money they give out for a map win from 200 from the last 3 maps to now it's going to be 100 map for each map. So you only get money if you win a map now. It's not going to be like first, second, and third get money, and it's going to be 100 euros if you win a map like it was in the beta season. So nothing has changed there from the beta season.
One of the things actually I'm just noticing is what's been in the chat though is MarciN looks to be not present. He looks to have had a connection issue or some sort of thing which is preventing him from actually joining in. So it looks as if we are going to be starting with only 15 of our champions here. Unfortunately, MarciN not able to get on. I'm trying to find more information about that at the moment. But starting in 10 seconds it says, and we will be getting underway on Touchdown. So to kick us off, guys, I'm going to give you a lovely overview of Touchdown, and we will be getting live sooner than you know it.
Man, oh man, starting without MarciN, the young guy who may be the most nervous now. Wonder what is going through his head at the moment. I mean, now he's just gonna... Already he's just gonna jump in with the Sharks, but now imagine if he has to jump into a map 4 when you don't have a chance to gain points anymore. You just lose points if you finish outside top 8.
For sure, and I mean, looking at the Touchdown map preview here, of course, lovely DefuseKids car here, but one of the most difficult to figure out at the very least for the identities in this. Of course, it's a very big jump up to the start, but we'll actually look at that later as we are getting underway. We are starting off with step 1 of Trackmania Grand League, and we are starting off with our man Massa from Big Gaming, of course, jumping into the dirt turn here, and you see this field already starting to spread out a little bit, and we come up to our first little obstacle here. This is a steering killer here, so you need to angle yourself up as quickly as possible. Long jump, some people opting to cut a little bit into it, and we see Massa taking the lead on the home stream here in the perfect place to be viewing it live, as we do see him taking a little bit of a lead here, closely followed by Veloce's Kappa. However, again, the identity is yet to come in a little bit of a tight section here. Kappa has to drop it a little bit wide there, and we do only have 15 of our best on the track here at the moment. However, we see Massa and Papou all the way up at the top here. Of course, we are well and truly underway onto the long dirt right-hander, and here we go for the first TMGL identity to be had here, and we're going to go into it with Papou, who is right behind Massa here. Need to do a jump all the way up to the top, a light hit, and then all the way back down. Nice smooth landing. We see here Scrapie's got the best of it. A lot of speed coming out from Tween, Spam and CarlJr, but Massa the fastest first lap by 0.3 of a second, and what a start from Massa.
Yeah, and just to remember people that this is a new thing that is added this season. I believe you're gonna get 2 bonus points with the fastest lap time. So remember, if a player sets a super fast time, that 2 points will be added to his total point score.
So, I mean, straight away when we look at this, first of all, we're seeing a bit of a lead being eked out here by Massa. This is about 0.4 of a second here. Straight away, Massa clearly showing he's not came here to mess around, of course. But we look at the back and we see here some strange faces to be seen dropping down. Of course, we've got Revo having early issues, Cocow and Riolu down already. And of course, 2 of our top 4 in Pack and Bren actually failing early on, but there's a lot of time left, and let's see how they go into the second identity.
Hello? Well, I think you're muted, but yeah, let's see here. Massa is up at 2. Massa is still in the lead here. People have said that he's maybe risking too much. Let's see if he can keep his head cool here and maybe surprise people. People have mentioned that Massa is not an endurance player. Well, I disagree with you there. Just because he has never proved himself in endurance doesn't mean that he's not a good endurance player. because we've never seen endurance being the main factor in Trackmania, but now Massa is in it. He also proved in the beta season after he joined that he is one of the players that can maybe do a big impact here. We see Aurel already 15 seconds behind, is behind the Massa delay here. So for people who can only see Matt on the 14th spot, we have Aurel who is behind and he's 15 seconds behind. So I guess he's gonna stay there for the rest of this step. And for people who wonder where's the 16th player, well, that's MarciN, and MarciN is not playing this map because of some issues with the connection. Massa still going in after the third lap as the leader. Now it's gonna be Spam who's following him. Both of these players 25 years old, so it's the two oldest guy in the league that is leading at the moment. Maybe the old is still gold, but Papou is overtaking Spam here with CarlJr from Canada, also being in the mix. Pack, Kappa, all the big names are up here. It's pretty close. My favorite before the map was Tween, but he's behind at 9th place.
Yeah.
Scottie, are you back or what?
Yeah, it's just some technical issues with the voice, that's all, guys. Nothing to worry about. But speaking of Tween here, he was actually off to quite a stellar start there. However, had some issues and's fallen down, but actually overtakes Rollin, as Rollin has some more problems, of course. But early on here, we're seeing, again, quite a big gap between the front pack and the later stages. We see here, Kappa, at the very least, is less than a second and behind Massa, who's actually got quite a lead here, 7/10 of a second. Massa. And here he goes straight again into the roof hit, so to speak, if we'll call it that. CarlJr and Papou.
Kappa with a mistake.
Oh, Kappa dropping down actually, so he has to go a different route there. And that is now all the way down to 6th position for
Tween
Kappa.
also with a massive mistake.
Oh, where's Tween at? Oh, yeah, he's fallen down even further. But again, points are safe here. Whatever points they get, they will hold on to it, at the very least for these three. But at the moment, we are seeing the top 8 being relatively well defined here at the moment. We're seeing Pack over in 5th place here at the moment, trying to keep up with Spam, Papou, CarlJr and Massa. But there's a group of 3 here kind of chasing Massa, and then it just kind of stagnates a little bit further out from that. We've got another second back to Kappa and Scrapie, and the kind of filters out even more from then. But we're seeing big issues already for Aurel, Tween and Revolution. Actually, now that I look at it, 5 of our new additions to TMGL are already at the bottom 5. So what do you think of that?
Well, maybe that is not a random factor. That is maybe a factor that we have to see in the whole Winter 2020 edition. Remember, for Tween, Aurel, Revolution, Matt and Riolo, this is a new format. They have been used to competing in cup mode. It's gonna take time to adapt to this. We saw it also in the beta season that it took some time for players like maybe Spam, Papou and Pack to adapt to the system, and then eventually they caught up. Now you have CarlJr was already played 50 maps on this, Spam was played 50 maps on this, and they are 2 and 3. But our boy Massa has a 1 second lead now, heading into the last lap here. It's just some seconds left here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, only half a lap remaining pretty much, and he's a second ahead of CarlJr. And in your mindset here, when you've got such a gap, you really need to be thinking that it's you can take it easy going through these remaining sections. But Massa being the kind of player he is, I don't think he'll be resting on his laurels anytime soon, and maybe even going for that extra 2 points. But this should be the full amount, maximum points in the bag for Massa. Of course, very strong performance. He was pretty much in the lead from the offset here, but let's not count our chickens before they hatch. Let's take a look at the final standings here as they go into the identity for the final time. Massa with an awkward flip. He doesn't make it into the respawn, so he needs to respawn even further back.
Rip.
That's a lot of points lost. He's going to roll all the way back down. Bren actually finishes in front.
Papou and Pack, Kappa and Scrapie.
Oh,
if
wow.
that isn't a Massa story, then I don't know. The community will go crazy about it and saying he's risking too much, but that, I guess, was just unfortunate touch on the up barrier there.
Yeah, I mean, there is, of course, a set way to do it, but it just looked like, I don't know, his approach wasn't correct, but that was first to 12th there, and that'll hurt a lot for Massa, especially when he'd been leading the entire race here. But an extra 2 points does go to Massa, so I suppose that will bring him up to 6, and that is a little bit of a sweetness to the end of that, but he'll be kicking himself after that. That was a lot of points to throw away.
But this is going to be a really testing step for Massa now. He had a big lead all the way into the last little part of the map. Now he can prove himself. He can prove the community that maybe his mentality is better than the storyline that they keep telling. They say that Massa and Scrapie are the weakest one when it comes to mentality. They will let the previous map decide the most on the continuous map. They're not going to change their mind completely. I disagree with that. I think that Massa is still going to do well here. Let's see, maybe I will be proven wrong, but hopefully the community will be proven wrong and Massa can get back into this and hopefully his whole step is not broken yet.
Yeah, but just before we get ourselves underway with map number 2, which will be U-Turn, I'll give yourselves a map preview of it and I'll shut up so you guys can enjoy the graphics. On, and here we go. We'll cut that just a little bit short here as we are starting off with, of course, U-Turn here. And U-Turn, we will be checking out Cocow here just to start off with. So this is map number 2 of step number 1. And again, the players will carry forth all of their points from the first one. This is a bit more of a kind of mixed map. There's a lot more kind of technical elements to it. So be expecting to see your order shaping up a little bit differently, I would think. And U-Turn, quite a different identity when we're used to seeing. Have you tried the identity at all for this map?
You imagine asking me if I play the Trackmania maps. I tried one map on this laptop I'm borrowing that, to be honest, is horrendous. So I have not tested out the maps, but I've seen a lot of them, and it seems to be somewhat tricky. Some people get a landing bug there sometimes, but hopefully this will be a good map. And since we are on the big clan Twitch channel, we can tell her that Massa dislikes this map the most. So imagine going from his favorite map where he had the lead, but then failing in the last 10 seconds, and then he heads into his least favorite map. Maybe that is a good thing because maybe he can just use this map to cool down, clear his head, because he already know that this map he dislikes, so he's not going to expect too much from himself. Hopefully, Massa cleans his head up and he is going to be back on the next map, which is more favorable than this one.
And of course, I mean, with this, it's very important to take into account it is a completely different kind of map. So again, we will be expecting to see players line up shifting quite a bit, and we actually see our 2 leaders from the map number 1, of course, Massa and CarlJr falling down early on. CarlJr down in 13th and Massa down in 8th here at the moment. And one of the incredible statistics, of course, we went over previously, CarlJr was the only player in the beta season who kept in the top 8 every single map. So I'm sure he'll be wanting to keep that up as a little bit of a matter of pride here, but a lot of very well storied players, at least from the beta season, having issues early on. We've got Kappa and CarlJr dropping down early. We've got Spam near the bottom, and we've got Massa only on 8th position here. So, but we do see it's changed up a little bit for the likes of Bren. We've got Revel, Weirlo and such up at the top, and we'll take a look at how they do the identity. Some people decide to jump to the right and slide to the left. Some decide to do it the complete opposite way around, and it seems to be there's no real uniform approach for doing this section, but you see Pack at the very least looks to have the best of it. Coming down to start the next lap again, and Revolution half a second faster than everyone else that lap. Seems to be he's got this one under lock and key. However, he does have Papou right behind him in 3rd position. Revel currently only displaying 5 points to his name here, but I mean, for fastest lap and continued performance like that, it can certainly be a lot more. But We see here again, as it was previously, the pack has split up quite a little bit more here. We've got a kind of top 3 group of Pack, Revo and Papou. And we've got Aurel, Scrapie and Riolu following up here. But, I mean, is this something you would be expecting as much? You like seeing your players kind of breaking into groups and specific players excelling in specific maps? Is that something you were expecting, or were you expecting a kind of uniform performance throughout all the maps?
Well, I think that once you do some mistakes, then maybe you're gonna have some second disadvantage. But I didn't think there would be clear groups, because some players obviously gonna favor some maps more than others, and basically gonna have more speed than others. But to be honest, I didn't expect it to be so close at the top. I maybe expected someone to be way faster than others, and then just having an average gap between it. But now it seems to be, like you said, a bunch of groups here and there, with now Pack and Revolution battling at the top. And what a story that is. Pack recently joining MnM when Revolution was more or less given the slot to play for MnM, but then MnM Gaming picked Pack to play, and now Revolution has to be orgless and play in the season. Maybe Revolution wants to revenge here and say to MnM Gaming, well, you should have picked me, look at me, I take this map down.
Yeah, exactly, and I think CarlJr, he actually overtakes Revo, albeit temporarily, going into the long dirt section here. Revo opting to go a little bit higher here. We are already halfway through this map. Revo goes for a little bit of a different line there, but you can see it gets much more speed on exit from Pack, and Pack makes a big mistake.
Rip.
And that's compromising
and our
his
player
chance.
Massa is also down.
Oh yeah, you see Massa here all the way down in 14th position, I suppose. Definitely not looking good for him. And Bren also having some issues, but a lot of your kind of big people not getting the best kind of points here. We're seeing Spam, who got second previously, all the way down in 9th. Pack 10th with 10 points, and it's not looking good for those. It's quite well mixed again, but the two of which we're seeing consistently in the top half at the very least throughout these first 2 rounds is Papou and CarlJr here, but Papou actually losing a position here. And the top 4 looks to be actually top 5, pardon me, looks to be breaking it into a group of their own. But look at Revolution. 1.1 seconds ahead he finds himself. 2 Germans heading up the lines while our German finds his way down in 12th position here. There's still some points to be fought for all throughout the pack. Again, these first 3 groups of points will stay with you. So it's important to fight tooth and nail for every opportunity you get. We see here Scrapie's trying to get himself back in reach of these top 3. Top 3 of arguably the most well-rounded players in Trackmania. Of course, we have Riolu, CarlJr and Papou. Of course, not really any players new to the game pretty much, I would say, throughout this lineup at the very least. But if you are new to the game, if you've not tried the game at all, !giveaway and get yourself involved, get yourself a key to the game and hopefully join in. Try out these maps for yourself, see if you can match up to what these kind of players are doing. Try out their fancy skins.
He's in 14th spot now, 12 seconds behind.
That's a lot of potential points.
Last, basically.
Yeah, that's a kind of story that's been going through the first two maps here. Is that, well, people are getting wrecked pretty much. There's no real nice way to dress that up, pardon me, but but we have Massa and Kappa at least having a battle down in 10th position. But the real one to be spectating here is up in your top 5, of course. Riolu, CarlJr, Papou and Scrapie. Very, very close together here. These will be fighting for some top points here. Revo looking like a sure bet for 20 points, but we've said that before. And it came back to bite us in the backside. But of course, we'll blame the Caster's Curse for that.
Yeah, imagine my first map is Caster's Curse already from there.
Yeah.
I guess I really now know what the Caster Curse means.
Yeah, of course, you've been introduced. It's the trial by fire, of course. Already ruining careers. But going into
let's see your last time of the identity now.
Exactly, and Revolution looking to pull it off nice and easy here. No issues early on at the very least. And nice and simple. Touches the back end a little bit, and that will be Revolution taking home 20 points, followed up just by Scrapie.
No?
Who? Riolu?
Riolu missed a checkpoint.
Where is Riolu? He's dropped all the way back down. He has.
Yep, from 4th place. He missed the checkpoint line. He turned.
And Matt will overtake him.
And now it's down.
Oh wow, but we do have it further up our lineup. We have CarlJr getting third, Papou fourth, Aurel fifth, Rollin sixth, Spam seventh. Massa actually managed to climb his way back up to 8th position there. Very impressive, just overtaking Kappa at the end. Tween and Bren separated by 0.003 of a second. The best lap actually goes to Tween all the way down in 10th place there. All the way down in 10th, getting 7 points as a result, however, and our scores will be changed dramatically at the very least for the step, but that's to be expected for our first two. We will have CarlJr going into the lead and drawing actually with Papou, on his own with 32 points in the lead here. In second place, it looks as if we're going to be having Revolution by virtue of winning that round there, but it's going to be quite a close battle up here in the 20-point range, as we can see here from what the players are managing to get here. We'll have Spam on 21, we'll have Papou 22, Scrapie 22, and as you can see there, 4 players within 4 points of each other actually. And there's a lot of players closely within reach again. I mean, Matt gets 20 points and he's straight back in this fight as well, but some strange faces struggling. I expected to see Bren and Tween going better, but is there any faces that have surprised you earlier on?
Well, after winning the betting season, the betting league season 1, I took a break in season 2 and tried to do this big return. Guess who I picked as the winner of this step? Well, I trusted in Eirik, I trusted in Tween. After he won the Giant Cup with a new team, then back was Team Sampi. I expected him to have good motivation again, maybe boosting it through again and maybe winning this step. But so far it looks kind of dark for Tween. But let's be honest, it's Trackmania Grand League. This step doesn't start until step 4 when the point loss come into an account. And just to update viewers who might not see the 14 and 6 or 15 and 16 spots, sorry. MarciN is yet to join the server. It doesn't look promising for him. Maybe he will not join at all, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for him, but we do move on to Piece of Cup as our next map here. And we will check out a lovely graphic for Piece of Cup, which I will switch over for yourselves now. So, actually, pardon me, it is coming up just in 15 seconds. So, unfortunately, we won't be able to switch over to it. But, nevertheless, we'll be fine without it, not to worry. Anyway, going into Piece of Cup again, completely different kind of style of map here. Again, a lot of kind of obstacles and different different surfaces here, of course, with our standard road here and going onto the dirt as well. But our identity for this is quite different. It's a dirt-based identity with many kind of dirt hills. Struggling to find any other way really to call them, but all arranged very closely together, of which the players will need to keep an eye on the gear that their car's in, the speed that they're going into, otherwise they might bog down and get stuck. And I mean, going into this is a map I expected the players to have the most trouble on, as I feel it's the hardest identity to run consistently. However, that might just mean me not being at the same level of competition as these other two. However, speaking of the competition, it is heating up in the battle for first, as we see Massa and Carl joint first going into the identity for the first time, and let's see how they all do it.
Must have struggled a little bit, yeah.
Oh, CarlJr comes out in the lead, and Tween actually in second place. I believe this was one of the maps Tween liked a little bit more, and yep. Again, quite a big group separated out at the top there. CarlJr and Tween showing how well that the pulling off that identity well can really benefit you. But again, one of the most important parts about map number 3 is this is the last opportunity to safely gain points. This is the last opportunity to risk, and without any sort of worry about repercussion. Do you think that's kind of playing into some of the players' minds, some of the players that are especially a bit lower down in the points?
I think that if you mention one name here, it's going to be Massa. He says that after the first map, which he basically should have won, he said that this is his second most favorite map. And now he knows that he can risk a lot. He don't have the chance at losing points. Maybe then he will go into map 4 with a good mentality. So hopefully Massa will take some chances here, but not over chance it, because basically 6 laps. If you do one mistake, you have no chance at catching up. But I hope Massa is going to be one of the names that is popping off here. But if not, I also wrote down that Tween is one of my favorites here on this map. But let's see. At the top now you have CarlJr and Tween who's battling it out. One of the battles that has been going on for the past decade, starting off at ESWC 2012, where basically Tween snatched the second place in front of CarlJr now. But as we speak of Tween, well, where did he go?
Yeah, I mean, Tween has gone with the wind, it appears to be. I mean, he's dropped all the way down to 7th place, it looks like here. But again, that is the kind of mercy of the identity you have to worry about here. I mean, we are seeing some other names dropping down. We've seen Scrapie having trouble, and Rollin, and Revolution and Kappa dropping down quite early. And that is your world champion in 14th place. Of course, most recent tech world champion and the winner of the beta stage. So, I mean, rough start for Kappa, but fantastic start for CarlJr, who I suppose were two of the biggest favourites going into this.
Yeah. And once again, you have some familiar names at the top. You have the old Dignitas lineup, CarlJr, Spam, and Massa, former teammates, now all at the top. Like I said, Massa and Spam being the only one who was born in 1994, the year I was born, so it's a good year, and now they are proving it. But I also think Spam is one of the guys who's going under the radar. He also went under the radar in the beta season, but ended up in a 3rd spot there in the group stage, and then also qualifying into the grand final, which he didn't play. But let's see if he can do it once again in the Winter 2020 edition.
Oh, and we saw a lot of people bogging down there. We saw Cocow and Bren having issues, Tween as well, and it shows you how difficult these sort of identities can be. I mean, it might look a bit innocuous just with a few dirt hills, but certainly those in the know will know that it's certainly difficult to pull off. But one of the names we see dropping down very largely is Matt, having a lot of trouble in step number 1 and being new to this kind of competition format, and Matt not being one of the ones that's most active in online tournaments as well. This could be quite a confidence hit to our man from Brazil, I think. But speaking of confidence, at the very least, Massa definitely looks to have gotten his back as he's up to 2nd place on what is his 2nd favourite maps. I suppose that's appropriate and almost poetic in some sort of way, but looking to get himself back in the points and back in the mix. But
put yourself in Massa's shoes here, because now it's a 2nd spot. He knows that now he gets some points, but also now they recently changed that only money goes to the 1st place. Do you think Massa is one of the players who might say, okay, fuck it, let's go for 100 euros instead of points?
Well, I mean, I think Massa is one of the players that will go however he's feeling is taking him, especially if CarlJr's having some sort of issues in identity, he'll go for it. But this is one... Oh, yeah, there we go. Actually, Spam catches up a little bit, but that kind of adds another dynamic to it. But me as a player, I'm thinking that I want to play the long game, and Massa did write on Twitter that he was going for the safe option, making sure he banked these points, playing the long game. Of course, he's, again, very capable of reaching top 8 in any given map, but the most important thing in a long tournament like this isn't just a one-weekend cup or a one-day cup or something like that. There's a lot at stake. And of course, in my opinion, I would be saying to Massa, of course, there's 100 euros on offer for every map of every week. You will get some of them. You don't need to go for all of them. That's what I would be saying.
Yeah, and just 4K in Lyon is a big motivation itself. Try to get to Lyon and you are at least safe for some money.
Exactly, and I mean, it's one of those ones where if you risk too much and you end up throwing away needless points, you might not even get to Lyon. I mean, we've seen Massa working from a disadvantage before. I mean, I'm sure he'd prefer to have himself in with a bit more of comfort, a bit more medium of comfort, making sure that he doesn't have to stress out too much about, you know, if the final maps are going to go his way or something like that. But he is rocketing past in the early part of that identity. But again, showing how many issues you can have there, and that's Spam actually flying all the way up to catch up with CarlJr here. But we'll go to Papou here, who's just in 4th position here, right behind Massa. Spam get the fastest lap by nearly a second there, going again to show how difficult this this identity, is to pull off consistently. And to show that, we have a lot of big names and big points spread out all across the place. We've got a few of our 20+ pointers in Spam, Spam, Papou and CarlJr up at the top. We've got Scrapie in the middle pack, and we've got Revolution down at the bottom. And definitely, I'm predicting that we're going to see a lot of people with tears in their eyes, a lot of points lost. But yeah, I mean, that's the nature of the beast, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the nature of the beast. But imagine that just before we get into the last identity here, Kappa is at 13th spot. If that was CarlJr who won the group stage and Kappa won the playoff stage, we'll be speaking a lot about CarlJr being at 13th spot, but we don't really mention that Kappa is there and he won the beta season. But now let's head into the last identity here.
Yeah, we've got CarlJr in the lead. Is he going to stay in here though? We've seen Spam really doing well through this, and he actually gets a lot of speed coming up the last dirt hill. but it doesn't look like he's close enough. There's one turn remaining, and Carl, safe as you like, down the little jump there and secures it with 20 points on
100
offer.
euros to Canada.
Yeah, once again, of course, Spam taking second, Papou third, Massa fourth, Pack fifth, Tween sixth, Bren seventh, Revel 8th, and Imaginary, of course, group stage from last season, of course. Riolu would have lost these points, however, gets 9th, Aurel 10th, Kappa 11th, Cocow 12th, Scrapie actually drops all the way down to 13th, Rollin 14th, and Matt 15th, so some surprises coming through, but just so we're on time, first things first, we'll get our little map preview going up for our next map.
Like a break now?
Oh, well, actually, yeah, you're right, of course, with...
10-minute break, so let's just remember that we have to do it before.
Yeah, we'll just remember we have to do it before. We can take a little bit of a breather here, of course.
Yeah,
and
this is going so fast, man. I'm not following it at all. It's much easier to just sit on Twitter, sit in the backseat, and just write stuff. Here, it's basically going super fast and following. Now 15 players instead of 16 players. Well, it's hard, but what do you think is the storyline at the moment? Is it that CarlJr is once again proving himself? He's ready once again. It's a new season, and he is here.
yeah, it's got to be the continued dominance of Carl
we're
Jr.
joined by Massa, no?
Oh,
Yes.
we have the man himself. How
Hello.
first reactions?
Hello.
How's the Thirst 3 went for you? How are you feeling?
Full tilt.
Full tilt?
Is it
Yeah,
because of the first map?
Yeah, like... Imagine playing good and you get like fucked over by the game. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Can
talk
you
us
explain to
through
the
what
viewers
happened.
What
yeah.
happened there?
Well, I don't know, like in practice, like sometimes it happens that you just get an unlucky fly up, you know, when you like go up
Mhm.
and you just flip, like you don't make it like you should, right?
Yep.
And that's just what happened. Like it rarely happens. Like it happened in training, like I don't know, maybe like max once a day or maybe like, you know, every second day, third day.
Mhm.
And yeah, it happened on the last lap. I did 0 mistakes. I played sick. Had the fastest lap. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you were very, very high up in the lead. I mean, we were almost, we were pretty much had it, you know, signed, sealed, and delivered that it was going to be yours. But at least you did get the fastest lap, and it looks as if, at least in map 3, that was a strong recovery.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I'm still disappointed, but yeah, I don't know. I'm 6 overall.
Yeah,
But
but
now
now
it's-
that's yeah. Go ahead.
And now that's like, now are the maps coming that matter, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what is going to be your mentality in it is just going to save a lot so you're sure that you are top 8, or are you now going to maybe try to catch up of those points that you lost on the map 1?
I'm not gonna play a lot different. I'm just gonna play my game, basically. And I'm not gonna risk a lot more. Like last map, for example, I have a strat you could risk, like the left. It's hard to explain when you don't see the map. But,
sure.
I'm gonna just play normal and just, you know, do my thing and kind of safe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as what we were talking about previously, or debating whether or not you would go for the kind of long game or not. Of course, you can't win Lyon if you're not there, I suppose. But
Yeah, true.
I mean, it just kind of goes to show, as I said, a good recovery, and you find yourself in the top 6. So I mean, you take your points where you can get them, I suppose. But looking good at the very least with such a performance in map 1 is showing good signs, I would say.
True. Yeah, I do have to say though, like I was surprised by my second map. Like I thought I was gonna do way worse. Like I don't know, like last actually. To be honest, I expected last there. But yeah, I somehow got I think 8th.
Yeah, you
think
recovered all the
from
way to 8th.
Kappa.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward for the other maps. I'm still 6. Like
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
I don't know. I feel comfortable still. You know, even though I don't know where would I have been. How many points you get? 25 per win?
20 per win.
20 per win. So I would have been second easily. Like,
You would have got 22 in the first one at the very least.
Yeah, and Carl would have gotten 6 points less.
yeah,
So would have been in the
But
fight, but I mean,
it is what it is.
yeah.
That shows that you're prepared at least. You're
At
ready for the
least,
last
yeah,
map.
at least I showed I can dominate, you know,
Yep.
other people if I want to. Well, if the map is fitting and I'm feeling good.
Yep.
What about the last 3? Are they fitting? How are you feeling for them?
I do have to say this map, like the upcoming one, the 4th map, quite a good one for me. Even though it's a Neo slide map. This is actually like one of my better maps, in my opinion. I'm Neo sliding the first turn, but not the ending.
Fair enough.
'Cause, yeah, simply like I think even Spam, Riolo, so all these like very experienced players and who are very much capable of Neo slide since many years are not Neo sliding. At least from what I've seen in practice. I don't know if they're gonna do it.
Fair enough.
But
Well,
it's just not worth it. Like one missed Neo slide, and I'm easily gonna miss a Neo slide, obviously, since I'm like not that comfortable with it yet.
yeah.
That's why I'm just gonna go for the non-Neos and just see what I can do, since I'm good at the rest of the map at least. And I'm doing the grass slide here, in case you're wondering.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that. We've seen throughout the other maps there's been quite a difference in the approaches for a lot of the players, but it's nice to see. I suppose it pays compliment to the map style we've got. But yeah, I mean, finding yourself up at the top in a lot of these maps is certainly good signs for what's to come, in my opinion.
True. I mean, I do have to say, like, map-wise, like, their maps are awesome, in my opinion. Like, sure, there's like one or two things I really dislike, and I have like a random factor. But yeah, other than that, the maps are great. Especially this one. This one is actually the best map, because like this map is less random than the first map. Sure, the first map is really great. It's awesome. It's probably the best for me as a tech player.
Sure.
And like, really, but like it has still this ending, this identity, right? And
Yeah.
there's still like a super small random factor, and yeah, this map doesn't have it. So I think this is the best map,
And for
and
sure.
it's made by NADEO.
Just for those on the stream, of course, the screen will go away after the 6 minutes, and we will get the map preview up for you, so you will see the map we are talking about, not to worry, of course. But just to pick up quickly on what you were saying there, we don't want to keep you too long so you can warm up, of course, but you were saying there, coming into this as a tech player, of course, we've got a lot of players here who are multi-environment, or at least have grounds in a lot of different things. How do you feel the adjustment has been for you coming in as you would define yourself as a tech player?
Well, I have played the beta season, like half of it, obviously only, but that was like some good experience, and that's why I think I also started off well into the map one. Like I felt confident on it, I did sick and practice on it, and I don't know, like I feel comfortable, and I just feel confident I can do it. And about the other players, sure, like CarlJr is probably the best tech player together with Kappa, like proven, but I don't know, practice just has shown that I was better on that map, and I was better, but yeah, obviously in the end, I failed it overall.
Yeah, for sure, but as you say, I mean, these kind of things happen, and it's I mean, as the cheesy saying goes, it's not how you fall, it's how you pick yourself back up, which, again, as we can see, I mean, you're sitting in the top 8, and we can only hope to see that that's going to continue going for the rest of it, as of course, now comes the danger period, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, right? Like, everyone can lose his points now.
Yep.
Like, literally, Matt can win. He's last, and Carl can get last. Sure, it's unlikely, but it can happen. Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and I can get 12. I can get first. I can get third. I don't know. But my goal is to just not lose my points, and like do a couple points like every week. Not like 5 points, 6 points. Like just gather like 30 points. 25 points, 35 points, and then maybe in the last 3 steps I can go for a lot more, like a couple more map wins.
Yeah.
At least that's the game plan for this season. I think that's not a bad one.
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, playing the long game is getting yourself comfortable, and then, I mean, who knows, even going to snipe a few extra of those 100 euros. I mean, that's certainly some nice pocket money to go in as payment for putting all the time into this. As of course we can clearly see you've prepared very well, as you've been very strong on the map so far, as have a lot of your competition. But I mean, can't wait to see what's coming up next, and of course we'll be behind you. You don't need to worry about that. This is a home stream.
All right, it's time to go and warm up, man.
Yeah,
we need to get
I'm
in
gonna
shape.
Right.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck. Have fun casting.
Enjoy. You good luck.
Yeah, thanks. Good.
Yeah.
It's too much fun to talk with him. We could have spent 1 hour here, but yeah, he has to drive as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here. We're the mouths. He's just there to do the business on the track. But just so we'll make sure we're not behind on it, we'll give you guys a little show of the map, which will be Bolide Snake. This has been made by NADEO themselves, so enjoy and let us know what you think. And we are back again, of course. That was Bolide Snake, made by NADEO Lab, of course, the developers themselves. Will be, of course, returning back to the action in just over a minute here. But, I mean, first things first, Mr. Holdal, how is your first casting experience going so far?
Oh, like I said, this is going so fast. I sometimes one is we were speaking in the break here. I was about to say just cut you off and say, now the first lap is over, and then just before I was about to say that, I saw up in the top corner it said lap 4 out of 6. So it's certainly harder than I expected, but it's also more fun, and I'm certainly happy that I'm here with an experienced guy who is guiding me through it. And let me ask you this: how is it to have a brand new noob here on the casting side of you?
Well, you would never know, of course. You would say you'd need to show you the ropes, but clearly you don't even need me. You should be doing this yourself. But I'm glad to have you, the dynamic duo in full force, as it should be, of course. And going back into it in just 10 seconds here, quick overview, of course, we can see our top 8 looking very strong here. Of course, we've got a strong German representation up here and many mixed names, of course, having some trouble early on, but here we go into the danger period. This is the final 3 steps, or sorry, final 3 maps of this step, of course. So all of these lovely points that everyone's gained so far, they are now at risk. So for any who don't know, first top 8 will keep their points, bottom 8 will lose all of their points. So you can see here, down in the bottom left hand corner, those in the red are in danger. And do you think there's any specific players that should be worrying about that sort of danger?
Well, if I could say all players should be worried about that, but obviously you're going to look at the big points who had used the 3 steps to actually gain all these points.
CarlJr.
CarlJr, who is now at last, should be more worried, but let's be honest, there is like water is wet, fire burns, and CarlJr will always finish top 8.
Yeah, exactly.
And
3
we have to go
things are
full
sure
screen,
in
by the
life.
way, the chat says.
Chat says full screen. Okay, I see. Right.
We have to listen to the chat.
Yeah, we do. That's true. There we are. We're full screen now. But we do have a slight different identity here. We'll talk you guys through it in case you didn't manage to see it through the start of it. We'll check it out from Massa, who's showing us, of course, the way of which he was describing it. Now, the way this does it is, the 2 black pillars you see there, you wall bang off of them.
I still think there is some problems with the stream.
Papou DC'd. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, we need to do this. We need to do this in windowed, guys. There's just some issues with it as all, but we'll get that sorted, not to worry. But a big, massive point here. Papou is actually DC'd, so that is all of Papou's points gone, first and foremost, and that's 34, when he was actually in 3rd place.
But can you change the overlay? It seems like that is the problem here.
Oh yeah.
Like the overlay of the stream.
Yeah. We are good to go there. So
at the moment it's a kind of a radio here, but like Scottie tried to bring it out to you, Papou has disconnected, 34 points out the window for him.
For sure. We will give you guys a little run through the identity again, since some technical brain issues happened. Anyway, but just while we get ourselves back on track here, we actually see Tween up in the top with 17 points here. So a little bit of an awkward jump going through there, and then an awkward jump back onto the platform. Keep as much speed as you can, jump through the tight gap, and then sharp left-hander coming into the identity. We've got Kappa, Bren, and Tween showing us how this identity is done. So a wall bang, and then you need to either no slide round this section as Tween's doing, or you need to neo slide around this section as Bren is doing. We're going for these short slides, but we can see both options are really just as viable. And we see here Bren, Tween, and Kappa have eked out a little bit of a lead here over Spam, who is now in 4th place. And already we see here our bottom 8 is including Massa here. Now, just a reminder with these intervals, the intervals are now from the position to 8th place. So for the top guys, the ones in green, the interval will be to 1st place, and the red guys, the interval will be to 8th place. And you see the one sitting in a lovely kind of execution of the bug way to do that, so to speak, of the slide, from Matt, Riolu, and Massa there. And the man in danger really at the moment is Revolution, who is actually overtaken by Cocow, but we're seeing a lot of positions shaking up early, but we're still seeing some of the same players struggling, of course. But your man Tween, he's up in the lead so far.
Yeah, but this is maybe something that the players like Tween and Kappa, who looks maybe more into the tactics of the game than others, that they maybe knew that, or they of course knew that they wouldn't lose points on the first 3 maps, so they would just take them as a bonus, and then maybe focus a lot on the 3 last maps where you have the chance at losing points, and those are going to be the most beneficial to be good at, because if you're 9th here, well, all map 1, map 2, and map 3 are, let's be honest, useless then. And here, well, the old Sampi duo who's now in Pittsburgh and now in Veloce is 1st and 2nd again.
For sure. I mean, kind of story duo throughout their times in Asuba and Sampi as well, and joined up here by Scrapie. A lot of players going for that kind of slide there. Kappa did crash, but it looks as if he's recovered well. CarlJr's back into your top 8. So is Pac, Cocow, and Massa also has now overtaken. Revo is in the danger spot along with Massa, 8th and 9th being fought over here. It looks as if Aurel's close enough. Spam's actually dropped down as well. And there's
so
a lot
close
of,
for that 8th spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of big points coming up for it. And actually, Pac and CarlJr are not too far away themselves, but we've only got 2 laps following this identity left, and we're seeing some people going for the Neo slides again. We're seeing Massa go for the no slide option. You can see he's not really losing that much time here. Cocow had a bit of an issue with the slide there. Aurel trying to overtake, but looking good here as Cocow and Revolution have got a little bit of a lead here. Only a few tenths, however. Aurel looking to catch up a little bit. A lot of competition here for the 8th place. As you said, it's so close.
Yeah, so close at the top and at the 8th spot, so we have 2 battles to follow here. Bren and Scrapie basically inside each other with Kappa and now Tween catching up. And then, of course, you have Cocow, Aurel, Massa, Riolo, and Spam trying to fight for that 8th spot to keep all their points.
And you see there, Massa going for the slide, does get a slight lead there over Cocow and Aurel, jumping into that kind of platform there, now going through the gap a little bit, and Massa has got himself back into 8th position here. He is in the golden spot to keep his points, but he has very, very strong competition. 2 players within a 10th of a second, and now 1 overtaking him. You see Aurel from GamingPriv.com overtaking and going into the green spots now. A little bit of an issue going through there for Massa. We're seeing Pac also go for the no slides. Aurel fails, and there's a lot more players up in front who are in risk of losing their points as well. We're seeing here Scrapie is currently in the lead though, going into the final lap. Does have quite a lead of half a second, actually a bit more there, looking to net his first €100 of this competition. Bren following him up, Kappa and Tween still in the top 4. CarlJr not too far behind here, but we have a hell of a fight here, and it's going for the danger position. Massa and Cocow are right inside each other. Oh, it looks as if Cocow's had an issue though. It looks as if he's had some sort of bug which has affected his speed. However, he gets a good exit going through there, and now it is a battle between him and Massa. Massa has the advantage though. Pac makes a big mistake and he's dropped down. Pac has fallen all the way down and he can't make the jump. He has to jump a little bit lower, and Tween's fallen as well. That's a lot of positions lost, and that will put Massa... Oh wait, Spam. Did Spam fall as well? Spam's fallen. He's battling with Riolu. Revo, Massa and Cocow look safe, but it's now down for Riolu and Spam, the 2 streaming brothers. And Riolu looks like he's fallen early, but still... Oh, and Spam makes a crash as well. Rollin's overtaking. And is Rollin going to steal it at the end? He is! Rollin gets 8th position.
Damn, Spam losing 35 points.
Oh, but that's what can happen in an identity like that. You get sniped straight at the end there, and Spam getting sniped by his Zerator Cup teammate of all people.
That's gonna be teammates for 2020, no? But one thing is for sure, we got it shown now that this Winter 2020 edition is not gonna be any rest. You cannot save your way into top 8. You actually need to drive fast because there are so many good players. If you're just a little bit slow, maybe a little touch here and there, well, you're going to be like Spam, losing 35 points. So now he's just down to 5 points, which he gained on this map. But Papou is even worse, losing 34 points, and he gains 0 points. So he has 2 maps to do it, 2 maps to claim the points he's going to collect into the overall score.
For sure, it's a lot of issues coming in for him there. Unfortunate for him, but I mean, that is again the unfortunate part of this, but we will move on to our next map, which will be Rock or Roll. So we'll check out that and wait. Pardon me. So here we go once again. We are on map number 5, which is Rock or Roll, and we see someone get killed absolutely immediately, or was that just lag? It was just lag, and I've been scammed by the game, unfortunately. But we are going to be going live with Spam to start off with here on Rock or Roll by table. Again, just for those joining, of course, we do have some of the points already played out, some of the points already stolen, as it must be said. However, for any of you who are new to Trackmania, who want to get involved, who want to play maps like these alongside players like this at your exclamation mark giveaway and get involved to win a Trackmania key, there will be one up for grabs each step. But speaking of this step, we are on the penultimate map, it must be said, and conclusions are soon to be drawn, but Veloce wants a word in before the page is turned, and he is currently in first place, going into the identity, which is these kind of steps proceeding all the way downwards.
This is his favorite map, and Scrapie is already failing out.
Tween, Massa, Scrapie, and Matt all failed it. Tween failed it again. Cocow's down.
There goes my favorite.
The caster's curse as well as the better's curse appears to be underway here. But I can guarantee you this is not going to be the first time we see people messing that section up, that's for sure. However, a lot of verticality in this map, it must be said. There's a lot of these kind of jumps, and Spam actually fails it as well. He drops down. He's dropping all the way down, having to respawn, and he fails it again.
Oh boy.
The bottle is crashing for the 2012 World Champion here.
But this is what Massa mentioned before. This is a map where people will fail a lot. It's hard to be consistent here. This will have a lot of mistakes. So even just if you do one mistake, keep your head cool. Try to catch up, because other people will also do a mistake, as we see here already in lap 2.
And again, we're seeing a lot of big points up for deletion, I suppose. With 27 on Bren, 47 Scrapie, 30 Massa, and 21 on Cocow. Everyone gets through clean, it looks like, or else slightly slow. Bren is in place to catch up. It looks as if Veloce had a big issue there. Went from first place all the way down to 9th there. Lost a lot of speed, and now his position's in jeopardy. But Spam, Scrapie and Massa are very far behind. Spam actually all the way at the bottom here. And that one mistake has cost him plenty already. 3 laps through. We're seeing Papou angry perhaps that he has not managed to get
Bren has made a mistake.
Oh, Bren actually falling down now into the red position. That'll open it up for the likes of Scrapie here. Also, Massa is not too far behind Scrapie. About 3 seconds separating them. Of course, Papou looking for redemption here after getting an unfortunate disconnect. Up in first place here at the moment. He's got a bit of a lead over Pack here at the moment. Run ourselves through the field once they've went over the identity. We're going to check Papou first of all. Multiple time dirt champion, of course. Oh, and nice and clean there from Papou. Pack also flies ahead. A lot of speed there from Pack. Everyone seems to make it through, no problem. Rel's lost a bit of speed, perhaps. Scrapie perhaps having issues. Everyone's looking to get through this fine. However, there's a massive gap going back to the likes of Cocow, so it looks as if his points are already gone, perhaps. However, Pack's made a mistake here, and that's allowed Bren up a spot, and that's allowed Scrapie a spot closer to salvation here. But we're going to go closer up to the front here. Get the battle right here from the top here, but it's all action here in map number 5.
Yeah, but now we can see that there's actually a gap between the top 8 at the moment and the top 9. So if the players at the top 8 keep their head cool, just drive saves, they should be able to get it, but that's easier said than done.
Oh, for sure, especially in a map like this, as we see one of the coolest heads in the game, Kappa, actually making a big mistake here. But speaking of the coolest head in the game, CarlJr, consistent as you like, 3rd place here, and looking good, it must be said.
Yeah, nothing can touch CarlJr. Like I said, water, sweat, fire burns, and CarlJr will finish top 8. Let's see if the caster curse can actually get to him. I doubt it.
Oh, he nearly messed that up there. He's trying. He did get overtaken by Veloce.
Just teasing me.
Yeah, exactly. Get a bit of an issue there going through that section, but he's still safe. But someone who certainly isn't safe, dropping down a lot actually there, is Bren. Still Rollin also having issues. Now Pack is in the red zone. Looks as if Massa's dropped even further back, so looks as if 30 points are going down the toilet for the home crowd, unfortunately. We're not happy about that, but there's still some action left to be seen. And it is quite a gap going up here to the 8th position. You have penultimate lap in front.
Pack is out.
Yeah, the pack is completely out of it. Going for a little bit of an alternate route there, but he's going to be miles behind, it must be said. Rollin seemingly having some issues with that section there. Jump straight back up to the top there as they are going through the identity soon. Check here, Papou with a strong lead here, but we've seen strong leads get thrown away before. You think this is one in danger here, perhaps?
Yeah, but at the moment, it seems like the top 8 has been now consistent for the last laps. Maybe they are getting, they have some shot callers in the Discord that can actually say, okay, save this. But now we see Kappa having some problems.
Oh, he's having big problems as well. That's a very speedy part, and that Scrapie is now in the fight to actually overtake him.
Oh boy,
he's got all the speed, and he's overtaken Kappa, actually. Pack is nowhere near close enough, and this is going to be the battle. Kappa is 0.2 of a second behind.
Big points here.
Is the defending champion going to be losing his points? That's 32 points or 47 points going down the toilet. We don't care. We want to see all of them go. We're ruthless here in this stream. As long as it's not Massa, we don't care.
Yeah, Massa is actually last as we speak of him.
Unfortunate there for the big player, but Scrapie has some issues going through there. Does get a little bit of a smoother exit, but the gap is getting closer. 1500s between the players. Looks as if Scrapie has a better exit there, extends his lead only slightly.
Let's see if anyone will risk the identity here.
Yeah, we're going to go quickly up to Papou here. Looks as if he has a slight issue, but he's got the lead and he's looking good here. And Papou makes it cleanly. Good job for Papou. 100 in the bag. CarlJr, Revel, and Riolu actually very close here, but CarlJr is going to take second, third. Going to Revel.
Kappa is ninth.
Oh, Kappa, yeah. Unfortunately fails, and Scrapie is going to keep it. Pack will get 10th. Bam looking at 11th. Tween 12th. At 13th. Cocow 14th. And Massa 15th. So unfortunate points going down for the going down the toilet for Cocow, Massa, and Kappa here. That's a lot
what
of
a
big
redemption
points.
for Papou, who got a disconnection, losing a lot of points, but still keeps his head cool, comes back into the server and takes the first spot here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that what a redemption there for Papou, and can you only imagine if he'd managed to stay in, what kind of points he'd be on now?
Yeah, imagine. Papou is ready once again. People underestimate him for every event, but once he shows up to event, he is ready. But are we surprised that CarlJr is in the lead? Sometimes it doesn't seem like he picks up these big wins. To me, it goes a little bit under the radar, but he always picks up points. He always gets some map wins, and now he's just a lot of points ahead of the others.
We're going to check out our map preview here for the final map, which will be Brightside, so not Rock and Roll, don't worry about that. So, Brightside, of which we will have here. And that was our final map, which is Brightside. We have checked our brain, we have made sure we are not muted, so not to worry, we will get off well here for... Oh, there we go, we've got hiccups there to fuck with us, but... Final map here, and it will be underway here, Brightside coming up. And it will be, of course, the final map where players can get or lose points here in step number 1. step number 1, pardon me. As we'll check out here, starting off well as Papou. Actually, Matt having an issue there with spam, I believe, early on. And Orel.
Disconnection or no? No.
No, he just started very late, so that's Orel pretty much already out. And that's already probably going to be 11 points down the drain. Holy fuck. Anyway. Some drama to add to the chat, but... Anyway. Can you see...
Who do you see as a favorite hero? Have you gotten any names that you have heard that this map is a good map for them? That maybe they practiced the last map a bit better, maybe they put in some more hours into the last map, because it all comes down to this map.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've seen some very nice tricks coming out at the end of this track, especially from players like Matt. He might pull that off if he's at a point of no return here, but to be honest, I just want to go safe here. Well, we're getting broken up by hiccups, of course. With Papou or Riolu, I think actually might do strong here. But as I say that, I think Rielu's actually dropped down a little bit. Of course, going over the identity there, which is 2 blue walls separated by a kind of jump you can do.
Scrapie is out.
Oh, Scrapie actually fails it despite being so consistent on the identity. Scrapie.
Oh
and
boy,
he did
out
again. That's a poor showing for Scrapie, and very unfortunate for him as well. A very strong player, of course, and to lose all of his points like that, that's 53 points down the drain.
That is basically the same points as he lost in the beta season on the first step, on the last map. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was around 50 or 60 points that he lost there as well.
For sure. And just a reminder, guys, the draw will be made following this map, so get yourselves entered in if you want to potentially win a key for Trackmania, of course. The command is ! giveaway, as you can see in the top right. Enter and see if you can get yourselves a key to join these players in, not in hiccups, to join these players on these kind of maps, or if you just want to mess around yourself. The world is your playground in this game, however.
New identity, let's see here.
Here we go, everyone seems to make it through. Revolution actually makes contact with the wall, so he will slow down very slightly.
Matt a bit back. So it seems like Matt, Orel and Scrapie will have a hard time finishing top 8 here.
Yeah, Revolution is in the red zone along with Rollin. That's your big points losses here, but... oh my god. but at the very least, they are close enough to get themselves back in the game, so... However, the story has very much changed for Pack in this round, and actually Bren having an issue going through the loop there. However, Pack sitting on 5 points and looking for 20 here. Also perhaps looking for the extra 2 as the fastest lap, as that is still up for grabs, but can you really imagine any players going for it?
No, I don't think any players will go for it, but they might potentially go for it when maybe they see a player just in front of them. Oh, I have to catch him, and then the 2 bonus points will just be a bonus because they drove fast to catch up to maybe someone. Like Kappa now at the moment is 9th. He will certainly try to risk a lot to be in number 8 so he gets the points. And certainly Revolution has 52 points that he can lose here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a lot of potential loss right there. And speaking of that as well, actually, Rielu's dropped down slightly, but Massa actually nets the fastest lap by quite a margin there. However, he finds himself in the battle between 3rd and 6th place here, with some opponents which he is very familiar with, of course, with Tween, CarlJr and Spam. Of course, these guys in some form have been going to and fro for the last 5 years or so, I would say, in the top level tech competitions. Of course, blow for blow, these are some of the very best players in the world, of course. And Massa currently coming out on top over CarlJr and Spam, his former teammates, of course. But there's no better enemies than your closest friends, as I suppose. I guess in this sort of situation, yeah, something like that.
Revolution is coming back though with its biggest points here, 52 points he can lose at the moment.
Yeah, well, biggest points definitely is going to be Scrapie, all the way 20 seconds behind. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he is pretty much game over. It must be said. That will be a real big kick in the teeth for Scrapie. I suppose in his position, maybe I'd be going for the fastest lap, but otherwise, certainly not. Riolu drops down, and that's another points risk. 15 points potentially going into the toilet there. And it looks as if Tween's actually extended his lead over this little group here as we move on to the penultimate lap. It goes so fast, so it does.
It's super fast, man.
Yeah, we're nearly done already, but Not so fast as we see Tween, CarlJr and Massa here battling very close. There's 1/10 of a second between them. It looked as if CarlJr had a better entry into the turnover here. Oh, sorry, the loop, pardon me. But however, CarlJr and Tween side by side. How many times have we seen that?
Like 8 years now.
Yeah. Of course, these guys having storied battles at many of the
Kappa
World
touches.
Championships. But, oh, Kappa, he's down. He's behind Veloce here now. And that propels Revolution into the safe zone here. There's only 2 laps remaining here. Let's go back to a battle up near the top with Massa, CarlJr and Tween. Massa doesn't go for the drift there. However, it looks as if he's pulled it off slightly better than CarlJr. Oh, Massa touches aside, though, and he will lose some time to Tween. However, CarlJr having some issues as well. Rollin drops slightly behind the group. Spam right beside him. The former ZRT teammates, of course. Revolution still in 8th position. Velo only half a second behind, however. But let's go back to a battle up at the top. Last lap of step 1, exactly. Last chance for many of these players. It looks as if your top 3 is going to be set in stone, perhaps out with some drama in the final identity. A caster cursed it for your enjoyment, not to worry. It looks as if CarlJr's got a lot more speed here than Massa, who's only sitting on 2 points here. There we go. So any sort of points he can get will be important.
The battle of Revolution crashes.
Revo's down. That's 52 points potentially down the toilet.
Touches the dirt uphill.
But again, we do still have the identity of goal. We've got Pack in first, going for €100 and getting some points to the board as he's only on 5. Let's see how he pulls it off. We'll check from Papou's POV. Oh, Papou risks it. He crashes. And it looks as if Tween actually got a lot of speed from it, but he's not going to be close enough. And we check further down. Massa's actually overtaking CarlJr here. And it's going to be Spam, Kappa and Relo taking the top 8. Revolution loses 52 points.
Oh man, Revolution.
Matt in 10th. Cocow in 11th. Or Rollin, pardon me, in 11th. Cocow in 10th. Rollin 11th. Matt dropped down a few positions here, down in 12th. Morel dropping 11 points down in 13th. 14th will be Bren dropping 36 as well. That's a sizable loss, but the biggest tears will be shed for Scrapie, it must be said. 15th place and 53 points down the toilet. Being also netting the fastest lap here, so that means he'll take in total 16 points.
But we are one step into the Winter 2020 edition. How many players are not or have finished among the top 8 on all maps? How many players do you think that is?
Well, I think I think as they say, I mean, there's only 3 things sure in life: death, taxes, and CarlJr being top 8. Let's be real here.
And we welcome Massa. Nice 4th place there on the last map. How do you feel?
Hey. I don't know, mixed feelings, like always, TMGL, you know. I'm used to it since beta now.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing, man. It's like when you lose points. I don't know, man.
Yeah, what happened on the 5th map there?
Yeah, I don't know, just didn't feel it and just failed in the identity.
Yeah. Like you said before, and that was going to be the map that most players would fail at, and that was certainly the case. A lot of fails by many players.
Yeah, obviously. I don't know, like I have my opinion on the whole league, or I've given it already. Like, I like it, like the concept and overall, and I also like losing your points. Like, I don't mind that, but you always lose your points due to the identity, right? And like, there's always not a random factor, but like there's either a small random factor or you have to be 100% on point in a basically super tricky part. All the other stuff doesn't matter. Like, when you're doing 0 mistakes on the rest of the map, it just doesn't matter. Like, perfect example was map 1 for me. And I really dislike this about the league, but yeah, that's what the rules are and we are playing in it, so I really dislike the fact like you lose points due to one part basically, or you lose a map due to one part.
But as we look at the results here, CarlJr is obviously the only player who doesn't lose points, 87 points. Are you surprised that CarlJr is once again proving to be the best player here at step 1 at least?
Definitely not, no. Like, Carl is gonna win that. Carl is gonna win the whole thing, and maybe not the land finals. Like sure, like that's something else to be honest. He's still my favorite for that, but I feel like in the online league, in like lab mode or champion mode, how they call it, I feel like Carl is just way too dominant, and yeah,
But do you feel
I
that
guess goes to him.
go ahead?
Yeah.
But do you
Uh,
feel that you are
okay,
maybe
okay.
like the same player as Kappa, who's maybe saying that his biggest goal now is just to make the playoff, and then once he reached the playoff, then he knows that cup mode suits him better. He knows that maybe then he can prove himself and maybe win it. Is that also a case for you here, or do you still think that you are one of the best champions mode players with this endurance format?
I do think I'm really good at this actually. It's just like for me it's really map depending. It's not
Yeah.
really the 6 lappers. Like I can drive a map like 6 laps without a crash. I've proven it.
Yeah,
But
like
it's
a map
just
one.
yeah, but it's just like if you get unlucky, you get unlucky. That's how the game is.
Yep.
And I don't know. I feel like it's not I'm not like Kappa, nah. But I do feel like also that Kappa has changed his
Yeah.
mind. Not like mind, maybe like his training. He's definitely like, he was hella prepared. Everyone was prepared to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, you
Like,
could clearly
mad
see that.
respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the level was really, really high in my opinion.
But if you just view to the next the week 2, you said that maybe there's going to be an advantage for you now that it's only 1 week until the
Yes.
next step, because you are a fast learner. You maybe learn faster than all the other players. How do you view step 2 here, where we also will cast it on this channel, same time, same place, and we will also follow Massa that? How do you feel ahead of step 2?
I feel like step 2 is gonna be like a sort of mix, because like you still have 3 maps from this map pack, like the first 3 maps. I think I don't even know. I think so. It's gonna work like that. That the
Yeah.
the last 3 are gonna be the new first 3, and then we have 3 new maps. And I do have a lot of time, and I am a fast learner, known as.
Mhm.
And I felt super confident, honestly, like after like playing the maps like a week maybe. And I feel like that's an advantage from me. Maybe not over everyone, but like over like I would say half of the
Majority.
half. Yeah, let's say the majority. Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
And yeah, let's see if I can improve that next week. I'm still
Yeah.
satisfied with this step, so like.
Any
Yeah,
surprises
imagine that-
for you?
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Any surprises for you for the step? Any players you expected to play better or worse?
Honestly, I haven't checked the standings, like the end of the standings.
I can go through it. It's CarlJr, Pack, CarlJr, Papou, Pack, Riolo, Tween are the top 5.
Okay. I would say that. I don't know. Nothing really surprising. The thing is,
Yeah.
like, you gotta look at the points. Like, I think it was only Carl who had really like a lot of points, and everyone
Yeah,
else didn't
87,
really.
and number 2 has 32, so there's 55 points there.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. I opened up. I would say that there's actually no big surprise. Like honestly, like from maybe you can count Papou and not, but like from pack on, like the 25 points until like I would say even me, the 12 points. I don't
Yeah.
think that's like a huge gap. Like, it's just someone has to have a good step and then he's, back in it. So I feel like there's no upsets. Like, I think I'm a bit uh, disappointed by Revolution. Like, I don't know, like he was like disappointed in sort of like the result. In the end, he surprised everyone like by doing a lot of points. I think he had like 50 plus points.
Mhm.
Yeah,
which he lost on the last
53
map.
points he lost, or 52
Like he
points.
did really, really well, and I think that's surprising for most of the people. Since he has never like proven himself, I guess, against like the strong names. But in the end, he lost all the points, so I don't really know. Like the end result is probably disappointing for Revo, like that's for sure. And I think like I expected him definitely in the top 5. I'm more surprised by Pack considering his training. But then again, he did not that good. It's just the last 2 maps he did well on, I guess, and that's where the points are at.
Yep.
Everything
Maybe the
else is-
results list doesn't tell the full story. Like you said, you have
Definitely
been
not,
unlucky on some
yeah.
maps like map 1, where you were
Yeah,
basically
definitely.
first from the first turn until the last turn.
It doesn't even matter for me. It's just 100 euros lost because like I would have lost the points anyways on the second
Yeah.
last map, on the
Yeah.
5th map. So like the end result is gonna be the same, and it's really hard to judge players, I would say, by the end result, because like I feel like Tween played really well,
Mhm.
and he got only 5th. I mean, only 20 points. I feel like
Yeah.
he deserved way more. Riolo, I think, hasn't played like that sick, like, you know, placement-wise. I don't
Yeah.
think he had many top positions. He just gathered the points on the last 2 maps. And same goes for Pack. He has just gathered the points on the last 2 maps. And Papou would have deserved way more points, that's for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, for
'cause
sure.
He just got disconnected, and I'm sure like he would have done super well on the Neoslide map.
Yeah, even without,
So-
even if you just took the points that he lost, even with missing out a map, he would have still landed up on, I think it was something like 64 points he would have been on by now, and that's without even one map taken into account. So, I mean, I suppose just going to show that he really does have what it takes, and he's continuing to prove it.
Yeah, I feel like Papou is not a surprise, but like I think he has proven himself now that he is a force to reckon with. He's really good. Like I've never like not respect, I won't say respect, but like I was never like afraid of him, like ever. Like until now, maybe. Now I'm like respecting him as a player, that he, you know, can beat anyone, that he can get first places. Like Beta was not just a fluke, you know, his
Yeah.
second place. So I feel like Papou definitely deserves a top place.
For sure, but just for those in the chat just as well, last chance for ! giveaway to be in for the running to win a Trackmania game key. The 1 per step, of course, will be drawn just in a minute or two, so be ready.
One thing, since you asked, the most disappointment is the last place. Not MarciN, who couldn't play, unfortunately, but Scrapie.
Yeah.
Scrapie has looked insane in practice. Everyone was betting like Scrapie is gonna be, you know, he's gonna be really good. He's gonna get a lot of points. Like as you can see, it's just, you know, a mess. It's all about the last map basically, or last few maps. I wouldn't even consider the third map is, that important. It's really all about the last 2 maps, and Scrapie has failed.
Yeah, I mean,
And
for sure.
It was his best map, I think. It was like the last 2 maps were his best maps in practice. I think he has world record on both of the maps, at least the 5th map.
Yeah, the 5th map was his by far best one, and he did an early mistake there on map 1 or lap 1.
Yeah, just like me, I guess.
Is there anything being a player in that situation and being a player as experienced as you are, what would you kind of put that down to? Kind of like with Revolution and Scrapie both throwing away a lot of points, is it just the kind of pressure of keeping those points you think is getting to them, or?
I think it's a bit just of, like, yeah, definitely there is the part of the pressure, but for me personally, I feel like when I play, it's just about, you know, managing to just play your own game. Like, I'm just trying to play my own game. Except the last map, I do have to say, I was not planning on going left in the end.
Yeah.
I just full YOLO'd it with like a couple of rounds just to, you know, get a good placement and get some points in. That was basically my last save. But I do think that the pressure part is pretty damn high. And I also have to say, I play a lot of CS, and compared to Trackmania, competitive-wise, Trackmania is the highest pressure game, like ever. Like one mistake, especially in this format, in Grand League format, like you get so much punished, it's not even fun. And I think it's a lot of pressure and also a lot of momentum. No momentum, no points.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's at least it for the questions I had, but just before we finish up, I do have the giveaway to announce here. Just reply within 1 minute and you will be the lucky winner of a game key. So let's have a look. It goes to A_31415. Just reply within a minute and we will have our winner, of course. Lucky man, and actually I believe the first to enter the giveaway as well, so and there we go. Replies with a smile, it is yours. Congratulations. If you have missed out on it, not to worry, there will be a chance for you in each step, so tune in and check it out and you will get some keys perhaps coming your way. And Massa, I believe there's another way they can potentially get keys if I'm right.
There is, but we're gonna announce that later on. We're gonna give away the rest of the keys, so basically 4 keys on Twitter. I'm gonna do a giveaway, but I think we will do that at the end of Grand League or like in the middle of Grand League, because everyone else is doing it right now, since every org has these keys.
Fair enough. Yeah,
you can already follow us on Twitter though.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's a good question.
Yeah, exactly. All the links to the socials will be available here, as you can see them on screen, of course. Actually, let me just check, see if there's... There we go. So we'll switch to this one. And there we have it. So that is step 1 over and done with. Of course, catch Massa, our home player, of course. Let me just turn off the map previews. Our home player at Big Massa TM. You can catch Eirik Holdal at Eirik Holdal, fancy that. And myself at TM Scotsman. Of course, we will be here same time, same place next week if you want to check out step 2 of the Trackmania Grand League. But that has been it from me. Anything else from either of the two of you?
No, just thanks for casting, and I hope you had a lot of fun, and see you next week.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And by the way, if you want to check out the new maps, I believe out, and I guess Massa will stream them during the week. So if you follow him on Twitter, make sure to follow him on Twitch as well, where you can get some inside info before the next cast on Sunday at 8 o'clock.
Well, it's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for joining all of us. I'm sure the others will feel the same, and I hope to see you next week, and see you soon.